Hello, and welcome to the 12th episode in our series, The End of the World as You Know It, a condensed version of end time prophecy. I'm your guest lecturer, Dr. Scott McKenzie, and today we'll discuss Revelation chapter 11, written by the Apostle John. First, I feel the need to tell you that this chapter 11, is not in chronological order with the previous chapters. We've experienced that before. You see, after John was shown the sixth trumpet judgment, he was taken away from the action in chapter 10. And remember, an angel gave him a book to eat. Yet here in chapter 11, John is taken all the way back to the beginning of the tribulation, also called by the Old Testament prophets, the time of Jacob's trouble. Okay, so here we are in chapter 11 at the beginning of the tribulation period, and John is shown a new temple, a temple that has been called by scholars the tribulation temple, a place where Orthodox Jews will once again be able to offer sacrifices in this temple, a place where the Antichrist will set up his image, committing what both Daniel and Jesus called the abomination of desolation, which will, by the way, render this temple useless to the Jews for the last 3.5 years of that 7-year tribulation period. Why? Because the Antichrist is going to demand everyone worship him as God. He then sets up his image in the temple, defiling it, desecrating it. So, class, in the first 3.5 years, the Jews will be in control of Jerusalem. They will offer sacrifices. They will burn incense in their new temple. But when the Antichrist sets up his abomination that desolates this temple, from that time on, for the last 3.5 years of the tribulation period, the Gentiles will be in control of Jerusalem. So with that said, let's talk about God's two witnesses. I believe will be Moses and Elijah. I call them the Jerusalem twosome, whom during the first 3.5 years will preach to Israel and the world, maybe about who Jesus is, how he is the Old Testament Jehovah, the I Am on Mount Sinai, Israel's Messiah. Now, why do I believe it's Moses and Elijah? Because they've already made the trip to earth. Remember? Go back in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 17. Moses and Elijah came down from heaven to the Mount of Transfiguration where Jesus was. Peter, James, and John were there too, and they saw them. And that's why I believe they will come down again, only this time to Jerusalem, preaching and teaching about Jesus, Israel's Messiah. And because they do, they will be hated by Orthodox Jews, by Muslims, and by the leader of the New World Order, that 12th Imam, their president. So God will give them power. Moses and Elijah will have power to defend themselves. Also, they will have the authority to send plagues and withhold rain from the nations who send assassins to kill them. 3.5 years later, the world president, this 12th Imam, is assassinated. Lucifer possesses and resurrects his corpse, and then he becomes the Antichrist. And now the Antichrist will be allowed by God to kill Moses and Elijah, and he will leave their bodies on the streets of Jerusalem for the world to see and rejoice over. But after 3.5 days, God will resurrect Moses and Elijah in front of the world. And as they float back into heaven, an earthquake hits. And that earthquake will take out a tenth of Jerusalem. After that, John is taken back to the present as the seventh trumpet sounds, 3.5 years into the tribulation. And as that seventh trumpet sounds, John hears loud voices praising God for what he is doing, how he has taken the nations back from Satan, and how he will reign forever and ever, while the 24 elders fall on their faces, likely casting their crowns before the throne of God again. But that's not all. In verse 19, John wrote that he saw God's temple open in heaven. And what Moses was told to make a copy of, John sees the original standing in heaven. And so is the Ark of the Covenant. It is the one Moses was told to make a copy of. Where is Moses' Ark of the Covenant today? No one seems to know. But we sure do know where the original is. It's in God's temple in heaven. And then suddenly we are taken back to earth as lightning and supernatural noises and thunder and an earthquake and large hailstones pound the new world order. And with that sounding of the seventh trumpet, John has entered into the last 3.5 years of the tribulation, a time in which the new world order's president, the 12th Imam, is no longer in control. The one in control is a resurrected, possessed person that we now call the Antichrist, who will, in his jealousy, destroy everything Islamic, including Mecca, described as Babylon in prophecy, a very holy city to the Muslims. This Babylon-Mecca connection is a theory of mine, but we'll have to wait and see if it pans out. Well, maybe we'll get to look down from heaven and see if that theory comes true. Yet, that theory is a study for a different episode. And speaking of future episodes, in our next episode, we will go to chapter 12 in the book of Revelation. But for now, as Jesus said, let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. And so until next time, class, I say to you farewell, my friends. See you here, there, or in the air. Bye now.